and it just smells amazing. Good Lord, that smells good. Hey everybody, we can't make the Kentucky Derby. We're all bummed about that. But that doesn't mean we can't dress up every day like it's Derby week, and it doesn't mean we can't drink good bourbon at home to celebrate the Kentucky Derby. Now here are my 5 picks for the best bourbons to have this year at the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, coming in at number 1 is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby, and that is Woodford Reserve.
Right on.
And you know what? It's not a bad drink to have at home right now, especially sipping after the kids in bed. And yeah, so Woodford Reserve is my choice number 1 for a dram to celebrate the Kentucky Derby or the lack thereof. Coming in at number 2 for me is can't talk enough good things about this one. Wild Turkey Rare Breed is among some of the greatest values that you can find in all of bourbon. In fact, I'm going to pour myself a little bit right now and just kind of tell you what it's all about. But this thing has done really well for me in blind competitions and a blind taste off, and it just smells amazing. Good Lord, that smells good. Big old caramel sweetness. You got your spices there. Oh, I just love the nose of this thing. So as I go on wax poetically about my love for Rare Breed, let me continue for my picks for this year's bourbons to have at the Kentucky Derby or at home for the Kentucky Derby. New Riff.
That's poppin'.
This is a relatively new brand. They're bottled and bond. They're straight bourbons. They're ryes, with only a couple of exceptions, have been absolutely phenomenal. And the Kentucky Derby is about finding like new talent, new jockeys, new great horse bloodlines. Well, to me, this is one of the greatest new bloodlines in American whiskey. And I am very, very excited to see what the future of New Riff holds. It's a distillery in northern Kentucky.
Pump it up. Pump it up.
And at number 4 is a brand started by some former Special Forces soldiers who actually were the soldiers who were the great heroes that rode the horses in Afghanistan after 9/11. There's been movies about them. There's been books about them. But they started a whiskey, and you know what? Look, it is pretty good. It's source whiskey, but more than anything, I always love throwing a shout out to our heroes. I myself am an Iraq veteran, but those guys were there before all of us, and they're heroes. And they also have a cool little horse on there, so it's a fun way to celebrate the Kentucky Derby and the great heroes who serve this country. And that's something the Kentucky Downs to honor those wonderful, incredible men and women in uniform. So cheers to Horse Soldier for that. And coming in at number 5 is actually not from Kentucky.
That's poppin'.
It's from Indiana, and it is an exciting expression of kind of like a new style of bourbon that we're seeing, in that it's a 4-grain from Spirits of French Lick, and it's an Indiana straight bourbon. Now, Indiana's had a great culture of horses, and they've actually had a lot of horses in the Kentucky Derby. But in Kentucky, we actually think of I think of Indiana as more of our neighbors than a different state. Which, in Louisville, it's easy to think that, but if you live a little deeper into Kentucky, you may not think that. But I think Spirits of French Licks 4-grain is an excellent bourbon that you can get on a website called sealbox.com. Now, let's have a taste of this to see what it's all about. A little bit of like fresh cornbread, fresh baked bread coming out of the oven. Yeah, very nice. Very bright on the palate. It's if you love breads, if you love like good fried pie crust, you're gonna love this one. And I think it's an exceptional add to the American whiskey lexicon in terms of styles, in terms of what it presents on body and flavor. Very excited to put Spirits of French Lick, Lee Sinclair on my list of top 5 bourbons to drink during the Kentucky Derby that's not happening. So, let us all raise a glass. And remember, while we're in this spot now, while we are isolated, while we are unable to like go to the track, we can still dress up and we can still drink good bourbon. Cheers, everybody. And if you want to learn more about bourbon and American whiskey and all that good stuff, click that subscribe button. A lot of stuff coming. Cheers.
It's gonna be alright.